Okay, so today I'm going to show you how to make local multiplayer split screen in Unity, and also how to change that in-game from split screen to just one screen. You can see I've already got it set up here just to give you an idea of how it works. This is player 1 on the left, and player 2 is not moving right now. But I will delete these and start over so everyone can follow along with me. You're going to need 3 cameras for this scene, so that includes your main one, so I'll just leave that for now. And I will rename these to camera P1 and camera P2 for each player that's going to be in this scene. And I will also add 2 capsules to be our character controllers. Drop you. And you can just position them wherever actually, but I'm trying to see where I put where the cameras are facing. So we'll put you here. And I'll add another one too. Okay, and I'll name those player 1 and player 2. Okay, so now you're also going to want a plane and directional light, as I've already got there. But you're also going to need an empty object and name it character switch, and I'll come back to this later, but this is how we're going to be able to switch between our different camera views. And so I will set up the split screen now. Very simple. All you need to do for camera 1, just set the width to 0.5, and you can already see now that the screen is sort of cut in half. And do the same thing for player 2, except do it on the X value. So there you can see this is player 1, this is player 2. It's already looking good. But before I start scripting, I want to make sure my input settings are correct. So you go to Edit, Project Settings, Input, to bring up the Input Manager screen, and under Axes you have all these axes down here. But for our purposes, all we're going to need is horizontal and vertical for each player. So here I've named this horizontal P1 and vertical P1, and I've also got horizontal P2 and vertical P2 for player number 2. Just make sure the type is set to key or mouse button for all of these, and I'm also using J and L and I and K for the movement for player 2, if you were wondering. And now I've already got these scripts made here, so I'll open them up in Editor and show you what exactly they do. They're basically the same. The only difference is going to be the input values down here. But first, you're going to want to create a character controller, and don't forget to add that component to each player so the scripts will be able to see it, as I'm doing right now. But you're also going to want to need 2 variables here to calculate your movement speed for how fast you're going in vector movement. And in the X direction, to get that, you do input.getAxes, horizontal P1, this is the input I just showed, the name of the axes, times speed. For the up and down direction, it's in the Z for me, and it's just vertical P2, and you do controller.move to move your character controller. And so you can just copy this code and paste it into controller P2 is what I have it named as. and the only difference is down here, just change the value for player 2, whatever you've decided to name your characters. And so if I save this, movement should, oh well, I need to put the script on each one first, so attach that. You just drag and drop it onto each player. And let's see now if, yeah, it's hard for you to see, but if you look in the scene view, player 1 is moving and there's player 2 moving. So that's working good. But we want the camera to follow each player around, so they're not just running off the map. And to do that, you can go into Unity's standard assets and import the camera script they have. I've already put it here. It's smooth follow, and all you need to do is attach that to each camera, and then attach the camera to a player, and hopefully it will follow. Yeah, again, it's hard to see, but player 2 here, this is player 2, and when I move, you can see he goes past. He's just moving, and this is player 2. I'm just going off. I'm going to go off and jump off the end of my plane here. Yeah, so that's working. I just should probably move the camera so you can see a little better. I'll rotate it 30 degrees, maybe. Place it up and back. And I'll do the same thing for, not my main camera, but camera 1. Just so I can see things better, because otherwise it wouldn't be very useful. Yeah, there we go. So, camera 1's here, camera 2's here, player 1 is there, and yes, he moves, and they both move. Okay, so now I'm gonna want to make the script for the camera switch. Right now, it's just split screen mode, but I'd like it to be able to change. So it starts out in just one camera view, and by the press of a button, you can go into split screen, and you and whoever you're playing with can go your own way. I also have that script here too. I will explain this right now. So is secondary is the Boolean we're going to need. You can ignore this. I don't know why this is here. But you can see we set it to false. To start, always it will be false. And then we have the 3 cameras in our scene. We have our main camera, player 1's camera, and player 2 camera. So this is the meat here, and this is how it's going to work. If spacebar is pressed, then the is secondary Boolean will not be whatever it is, which is false. So if the spacebar is pressed, it'll become true. But while it is not pressed, you see player camera 1 and player camera 2 will both be set to false, so they will not be able to see the scene playing. Just the main camera is the only camera that will be active at that point, unless of course the space bar is pushed, in which case each camera for the player is set to true, and the main camera will be set to false. So you want to attach that to your camera switch, that empty object we created earlier. And you can just drag your cameras you see here into the game objects that need to be targeted. My main camera, oops, main camera, player 1 camera, and player 2 camera. So if we run this now, I believe, you see it's at a full screen mode now. It's on the main camera, and if I push spacebar, we switch into dual screen. So that's cool. And you can just keep going back and forth. You could use this to make a dynamic split screen. You just have to basically get the distance between, or set the distance for the main camera as the midpoint between camera 1 and camera 2. So, oops, and yeah, so that's everything.